Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great week. I would like to talk about Hurtado's book, Destroyer of the Gods. The goal of the book is to demonstrate the unique characteristics of Christianity in ancient Rome. In my opinion, Hurtado more than meets this goal. In fact, he is able to condense a significant amount of information into 5 chapters. Additionally, he does this while keeping a neutral perspective that does not reject or accept Christianity. The current buzzword is context. Understanding the background of a situation has become an industry in itself. Think about television shows like Dateline, 48 Hours, or podcasts like Kendall Ray. Their focus is on the lives and background of their subjects. To be ethical in this process, they must give time to all perspectives, because to use only one would not give the full picture, and the information would fall flat and be misleading. Let's be honest. To truly understand where a person is, you have to understand where they've been. Trust me, this does apply to Hurtado. Here's how. To really grasp the message of the New Testament, we must understand the experience of being Jewish in ancient Rome. The author demonstrates the atypical nature of Christianity within Roman culture in 3 ways. The worship of only one God caused social and relational upheaval. Christianity was influential in the dissemination of Scripture. And finally, the social and behavioral distinctions found in the new Christian church were unique. Today, I would like to focus my critique on chapter 2, which talks about the realities of having one true God. Hurtado begins with a discussion of the term religion, which is used to represent the customs and convictions attached to the deities of ancient Rome. Although I hate to begin with a criticism, I do believe this topic could have been addressed in a single paragraph and perhaps even included with the introduction. Moving on to the wide array of gods in the Roman ecclesiastical system, we find there are gods for every imaginable circumstance. I found Hurtado's treatment of this topic to be excellent and thought-provoking. Engaging the care of a deity for sick loved ones in matters of the heart, employment advances, military success, politics, and even protection from natural disasters was part of the Roman culture. So far, this is not unfamiliar to most of us, but we must remember the implications of a single God worship system that cannot be underestimated. They are far-reaching and can be quite complicated. The Christian faith called for avoidance of all things idolatrous. The author says it this way: Christians likely had to refuse to join in the worship of the various divinities and had to negotiate their relationships carefully, especially those involving family and close friends. Here's where things get a bit interesting. To not engage in idolatry in these areas was to label yourself as seditious, subversive, antisocial, or even atheistic. This, in my opinion, was one of the most important points in the book. It provides the background for understanding of what it would have been like to be a Christian in Rome at this time. I also appreciated Hurtado's recognition that there were areas of continuity between ancient Jewish beliefs and Roman Christianity. First, he approaches this regarding idolatry. This is an important aspect that we cannot overlook. Let me explain. The particular aversion to idolatry was tolerable by the Romans when it was associated with the Jewish national identity. But when Roman Christians changed their idolatrous behavior, there was little acceptance among their fellow citizens. Hurtado has this to say about it: total withdrawal from the worship of the many deities would have seemed inexplicable and deeply worrying. In their eyes, people other than Jews simply had no right to do this, and it would have drawn a lot of objection and even harassment. This is an accurate assessment. When the Romans began to follow Christ and they turned from idolatry, it was a personal affront to their fellow citizens. The second time Hurtado addresses this continuity is when he speaks of God as a relational being. This, too, is an important distinction because it was such a foreign concept to the Romans. In their experience, a deity was to be approached and placated, not engaged. The author writes, "This notion that the gods love humanity with anything approaching relational intensity ascribed to God in early Christian texts is hard to find in pagan texts of the Greek or Roman period. In my opinion, Hurtado successfully addresses the continuity of ancient Judaism and Christianity in first century Rome." Although I have found great value in this chapter, I did struggle to follow his line of thought in the final subtopic, one God, one Lord. He is a bit long-winded here, and perhaps it would have been easier to follow in a more condensed version. He does provide summaries of different points along the way, and I appreciate those because if they had not been there, I think it would have lost me entirely. Hurtado does raise one point that I have noted with a very large red question mark in the margin of the book. He writes that, based on cultural stressors, it is fair to assume that not all new Christians were able to completely abstain from idolatrous situations. It's a valid point. However, his use of 1 Corinthians 8 through 10 as a reference drew my attention, not because of the scripture itself, but because, as far as I can tell, he has not done the exegetical work. I understand using a scripture reference. The Bible is a historical document, so I do understand that. But returning to my very large question mark, where is the line between using the Bible as a historical reference and needing to study the text on a deeper level to refine a theory? The author has used scriptural reference on several other occasions within chapter 2 as well, but I don't see evidence of that deeper study to make sure that what he is saying is accurate. So, although his theory has merit, I am also considering it unsupported, which deems it a weakness. Finally, there are editing issues in the text, such as repeated words or phrases and grammatical concerns that should really be corrected. In my opinion, these could detract from a positive evaluation of his work. In conclusion, I find the book to be insightful and valuable. It gave me so much information, and I really appreciated these additional insights and things I hadn't thought of before. But I would like to see the editing issues resolved. And that's all she wrote, folks. Thank you. Have a great day.